All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. In this live stream, I'm going to be working on triaging drupal-check. Last week, I did a handful of work for PHP stand Drupal. For those who don't know, so PHP stand Drupal is an extension for the PHP stand static analysis tool that lets you read Drupal code. I do want to thank my sponsors, Unpal and Intracto, for sponsoring my development time. And drupal-check is a wrapper around PHP stand and PHP stand Drupal to make it a little bit easier for some folks to run. Because in the beginning, people didn't want to configure PHP stand, and it was a little bit harder to. Things have kind of advanced, so I don't really know this project's place in the world, but folks still use it, so it needs to be maintained. So I'm going to work on triaging that because the last release was how long ago? In February, I did a quick release fix for PHP stand Drupal. Otherwise, it's been since December. So I'm going to get working on migrating this, and it looks like it's still pointing at Travis CI, so I'll probably add GitHub Actions. All right, so let's see. I've got my PHP stand Drupal open just in case. I'm going to minimize that for now. And let's get going here. One of the first things I do want to do is realize the README is outdated. I don't have my other sponsor in here. And apparently this is really out of date. Oh, no, there it is. So let's see. I want to copy that in. Let's see. Copy that. Let's paste it here and preview it. Beautiful. There we go. So we'll just add this quick. Double check. And I realized I used the keyboard a lot. So what I did here is I went and I did show diff, which is Command D on Mac, probably Control D on Windows. So when you use your keyboard to hover over a file or even your default change list, you can launch the diff viewer by hitting Command D. So let's add them as a sponsor to give them their credit. So that'll be the first step. I guess the next step would be probably migrating from GitHub Actions, from Travis CI to GitHub Actions. Since we got failing builds on Circle CI, and Travis CI is gone. So let's get that figured out. Make a new branch. Or rather, let's just do it this way. Let's add it from here. Just set up workflow. And let's see, we'll copy. Oh, shoot, I did this whole thing and I didn't have that on the desktop. Sorry about that. So let me go back and explain about the diff. So I had it on just my webcam. I'm sorry about that. So when you edit a file in PHP Storm, it'll show up. So Command 0 pulls up the commit sidebar. And if you hover over a file using your keys or clicking on it and hit Command D, it launches a diff viewer. So you're able to see what changed, or if you right click and click show diff, you see that as well. So my bad on that part. Just got out of an hour-long call on top of a busy morning. I have a client that's getting their release out today finally, which is an exciting win all on its own. So let's see. I want to copy some of this set into the new workflow here. And I have it on a schedule for PHP stand. I have on a schedule since for PHP stand Drupal, I have it on a schedule because this doesn't have a lock file, and it could update with any, and I want to check PHP stand nightly, this doesn't need a cron because it actually has its own lock file. Builds on Ubuntu latest, name, checkout V. Let's see. I don't want to copy all of this quite yet. We'll copy. You know what? I don't want to edit this in the GitHub editor, so we're just going to start the commit. Add initial workflow. Let's just commit it. So I will pull my code, which is Command T on PHP Storm, or update if you go to Git and then update project. That will let you fetch your code. So now we've got GitHub here, got workflows. All right. Let's name this, I'm going to call it build. So jobs build. Let's copy this matrix because we technically need to support PHP 8 and Drupal 9. I guess we'll just copy the whole bit. All right. So for anybody that didn't tune in last week, what this is doing is it creates a job that has a build matrix that tests PHP 7.3, PHP 7.4, and both of those versions against Drupal 8.9 and 9.0. It includes a 7.2 and 8.9, and then PHP 8 with Drupal 9 as well. And then it runs the setup, requires, we don't need this downgrade dev dependencies because are there tests? Fixtures, that copies in, okay. So that's what it should do, is look at what I had set up for Travis CI and try to just copy that over. Split and move down so I can look at it side by side. So we have the same PHP flow. We have composer install and composer validate, which let's add that back in. I'm going to copy it back from the original that was generated for me. So we want to validate the JSON.lock. And then we want to run install, because this does have a .lock file. We don't need to downgrade any dependencies or add this because we don't have Drupal as a dependency for testing. We'll add code sniffer, PHP stand analyze. That is not even configured for that. Or is PHP CS? Okay, it does have PHP CS. Great. There's no PHP unit here. And I don't even have PHP stand on this. Well, I'll comment that out for now. And let's see. So the main test here is that it took the build and then ran it against a compiled Drupal directory. So yes, we'll add that in here, and I have the same setup in the build integration. So right here, the setup Drupal command runs composer create project. I'll close the sidebar. So we've got composer limit -1, so we don't have to worry about memory. Create project, it runs the recommended project off the matrix version. And Sets up a few of the things. We don't need to adjust the composer repositories. Or actually, we do. Hold on. Nope. Oh, that's one thing that we might need to do. But for now, we're going to copy the Travis CI. So some people install drupal-check as a dependency, and some install it globally, and some use the FAR, which I think I discontinued the FAR, and I have no idea what's preferred. So actually, I'm going to assume this test uses it as a local dependency as you normally would with modern tooling. So that means we can go in here and run this same kind of command. So what this does is it requires our local package. We'll do require drupal-check and change the package name to be drupal-check. Ah, shoot, don't delete the whole thing. All right, so as we're to recap, we're setting up our build matrix and setting up PHP. We validate the our composer information. We'll run PHP-CS to make sure it's not a complete mess code-wise, which I'm going to run that real quick. Okay, no errors. That was quick and easy. I should set up PHP stand. Right now it's not there. And then we create a Drupal template project that we're going to analyze, and we require the drupal-check project into there. So I'm going to copy some more code on how we analyze from PHP stand Drupal. So it really is the same thing. It's just that this is a wrapper that runs PHP unit for you. Or not PHP unit, PHP stand. You know, I don't think most people need this anymore. One idea I've had is this turns into like a configuration generator for your site. I'm not really sure what the community wants in this anymore. So if you have any ideas and know how, if you're using drupal-check instead of PHP stand, I'd love to know, why you're using it instead of that. Is it just because you didn't know you could configure PHP stand directly? Any of those things would be interesting to know, so I know how to maintain this software. I wonder if there's a way to pass an array to a step. Let's see. GitHub Actions array for one step. Using an array of values to repeat a step in GitHub Actions workflow. So what I want to do is I want to analyze a bunch of paths, but it'd be great if I could just give it an array and it looped over that array instead of making an even larger test matrix that generates a test run per file. So let's see, this is from a year ago, so it might be out of date. Use the output. It takes one commit at a time. Let's see, syntax. I don't think so. I think I just got to copy paste. That's in Spanish. Can action inputs be arrays? Let's see. Array as action inputs. Okay, so you can use with. Multiple steps uses with action inputs only support string keys and string values this time. Your action could parse that. Oh, okay, so I could, yeah, that's way too much work for this. So we'll just copy here, and the path that would test is core modules dynamic page cache. So there's that. Let's make this a new branch. call it GitHub Actions. And you know what? Let's add PHP stand right now. So we're going to do composer require PHP stand, and then PHP stand extension installer. I think that's it. PHP stand extension installer. It's either extensions or extension. Great, it's extension installer. Let's find things that depend on this so I can find my, let's see, where that depends. Oh, 8,000 different things. Never mind. That's not going to do it. Let's go to, so if you go to the PHP stand website and in the documentation, it will tell you the various extensions, developing extensions. No, that's not. Getting started. Oh, extension libraries right there. So the extension installer makes it a lot easier to set things up. This didn't exist before either. So that's one reason setting up PHP stand Drupal was kind of a pain. Now I'm pretty sure that you could just run, you know, composer require PHP stand extension installer and PHP stand / mglom or mglom and PHP stand Drupal and be up and running. A lot faster than you used to be. So I want to get the strict rules and deprecation rules packages. I'm going to copy that name there and copy that. Let's see. I know it's a Symfony application. Let's look at the Symfony framework. I don't think there's anything in there that would be useful. And I think that'd be it. Let's see. Yeah, this is only useful if I'm using the container. I'm not using Symfony container. We want to make these be developer dependencies. I'm going to copy my PHP stand config and my editor config. So the neon files want an indent of tab and a specific size, and by default I have things at spaces, so it gets kind of weird and breaks. So I'm going to do editor config. Oh, it's already there. Okay, so I guess I just need to copy this. I'll paste it, add it to Git, and since I have the extension installer, I don't actually need those includes. I'll wait for this to finish syncing in. I don't know why. Upgrading, why is it taking so long to sync? I'm going to delete my vendor directory and rerun that, which is going to install everything. So yeah, I think I had a dev dependency. So there's a Git repo and it was just having issues integrating. I had the same problem when I restarted my PHP stand developer environment. All right, so we got that. Now let's run the actual PHP stand config. We'll uncomment this and we'll run it in the terminal. Runtime exception. Drupal autoloader unable to determine. Oh, that's fun. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I can't inspect my own code because inside of when it loads files, it ends up loading the PHP stand extension and it throws an exception because it can't find Drupal, which I didn't think we're even loading that in here. Well, that's odd. And I think I'm going to skip this because I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole. So PHP stand far. Oh, wait. I know why. Shoot. So I added the extensions installer, and PHP stand Drupal is a hard requirement, so it got installed as an extension. So I'm going to see if there's a way to exclude. That's it. Depends on. Okay, so I am going to remove the extension installer and manually include. So in Composer, that's just remove, Composer, remove, dev. And I will have to manually configure my includes, which luckily I had already done for deprecation and strict rules. So again, the reason why this happened is the extension installer saw that I had PHP stand Drupal as a dependency and hardwired it, even though it's not a full dependency. Oh, geez. All right, we will turn that off for now. It needs fixes, but I want to just get this running first. And I want to copy the build badge. So, yep, Circle CI passed. That's good to know. Actions. There's a way. Create status badge. Copy this and go to the README, and we'll replace the Travis CI. This here. Now I renamed it from, we'll call it build. We'll say. So I named it to as build. Workflow file still php.yaml. Great. This actually needs to be changed to, are you ready for Drupal 9, to even just Drupal 10. So this thing needs a lot of triage. So we'll commit with add GitHub actions, replacing Travis CI. We'll push. So whenever you push the GitHub, if you look at your console output, you can create a pull request by clicking on it. But I also really like the GitHub command line. So if you haven't started using the GitHub command line, you can create a pull request this way. So GitHub PR create. There's various flags, but if it's your first time running it, which it is on this project, you specify if you have multiple remotes, what is the base repository, which I'm in it. It defaults to the commit title, the commit word sentence as the title. You can edit the body, but I'll hit E and add as, doesn't just add, it updates workflow for testing with Drupal build artifact. So then it's Control X. There we go. I don't use nano a lot. So save, and then I'll hit submit. And so then I can click this link. I want to open that back up in Brave instead of Chrome. So it created the pull request for me. This is really nifty, convenient. As you can see, drupal-check has a lot of different workflows. I have a build on AppVeyor for Windows because having people be able to run this on Windows properly. There was a bunch of different conflicts, and that's where Circle CI has a lot of different test pipelines. This is already failing for GitHub. Oh, requires 2, but your PHP version 8 does not satisfy that requirement. So what I think I have to do to support all of these different language values is I want to look at how Rector is doing it. Maybe they have some insight on how you do the require. I think you would just say something like that. Now, the good question is, do they tag the PHP environment in config platform check false? Okay, that's interesting. I would assume that they would say that the platform has to be 7.2 in order for it to work. So I believe this is how you do it. I'm going to double check real quick. So with Composer, if you support different like higher level PHP versions, but you want to make sure that it's always installed at a certain minimum version, you can specify the platform version, and that will be used to mock the PHP version. So if you have one where, let's say you've got 7.3 on your server still, but some of your developers have 7.4, 7.8. Well, the person on 8 ran Composer update, and you don't have this check involved. Well, now they updated dependencies that might only work on 8. Then you go deploy it and it explodes. So by setting this config, you can pin it to a specific PHP version if they didn't run it inside of your containers or anything like that. So if we go to getcomposer.org, go to documentation and the composer.json schema, we want to go to config, cconfig for description, and platform. So, we can do PHP there. And if you have certain extensions, you can also call it there. So we'll set that. I'm going to run Composer update. Which that's just updating a whole bunch of dependencies and could be bad, but doesn't look like it. Actually, oh well. Yep, we'll commit it. I don't like updating dependencies and oh wait. Okay, I can revert. I'm gonna do a revert because I want to update dependencies in its own branch. So do composer install to reinstall from my lock file, and I think just do composer dump autoload. That's not what I want. Just composer update lock. That's it. So if you get the annoying warning of, composer validate. So the lock file is not up to date with the latest changes in composer.json. If you look at your lock file, you'll see this content hash. That's the hash of all of this data. So we modified it, which means the hash is out of date. And we don't want to update our dependencies. We just want to update the lock file. So if you do composer update -- lock, that will regenerate. Oh, maybe I do need to run composer update. wait, 7.2.5. Well, we'll just say this is 7.2.5. Great. So if I look at the log file, the only thing that should have changed now is the content hash and then all these requirements here. I don't know if this is even like necessary for a requirement anymore, but that's what a lot of folks still had back before. So we'll do that. So we'll say allow PHP 8. So we'll push and we'll get back to the pull request. Oh, geez. Violinist has been up and running. I'll run this after. Oh, we've got a PHP 8 support pull request as well, which is here. So I'm going to actually. So one thing right here, that dash lock, I unfortunately have to reject this because they updated all the dependencies in doing so. So I'm just gonna highlight this. Looks like you ran composer update without lock. So this also is updating dependencies. I'm updating the, so I can't take it. I'm making the update and so we'll start the review. Just gonna put request changes and close it. Let's go to 215. This is still failing. It's gonna be whack-a-mole. Oh, yeah, because I don't know how to type either. Vendor bin Drupal. That's not what you run. So it's, oh shoot, because it's drupal-check, not Drupal. So drupal-check, because that's what this gets called. I don't know about anybody else, but I will often jump between the Git workbench and even the command line. I guess some habits die hard, but I feel like whenever it's a quick fix, I use a terminal. Whenever I actually want to like really review the diff, is when I go through PHP Storm. All right. So let's see if that gives a fix. And we'll just go over to the checks. I wonder if I can get rid of Circle C. I could probably get rid of Circle CI right now. There's the only bummer with GitHub Actions, they don't support YAML anchors or templates. So if you run like 2 jobs, you're copying and pasting everything. But with Circle CI, they let you write custom commands and setup. But Circle CI also doesn't have a build matrix. So it's like give or take. GitHub lets you create a build matrix. Circle CI lets you reuse configuration. So 7.2 worked. We analyzed, we got no issues. What happened here? Type error. Oh, because PHP 8 is not supported because we need yep, prophecy tree. Oh, shoot. We need that part. So what I'm going to do is comment out the this one to do add when upgrading PHP stand Drupal, because the latest release of PHP stand Drupal adds 8 support, and then also while working on PHP stand Drupal 9 support, found out that we have to require this PHP spec prophecy PHP unit library when testing on Drupal 9. Which we run right here after. And it's when we don't want to require it unless we have Drupal 9, right? Yeah, we'll put it right after. So disable PHP for now. And add prophecy tree. Okay. So this should get us working with Drupal 9. And then we can get PHP 8 working. And what I'll do, so Violinist is let's see if I can open it real quick without exposing all of my clients. Great. So Violinist lets you automate your composer updates. You just plug in. I subscribe to a pro. Right now I have one private repo and I have Contrib Kanban, drupal-check, and PHP stand Drupal integrated with it. And it's great. As soon as a dependency comes out, it shoots over. It is built by Eirik of Nymedia, a wonderful Drupal community member and contributor to the Drupal commerce ecosystem. Hope I actually said your name right, because it's E-I-R-I, and I don't think I've ever said it out loud. And I'm really bad with names, so I apologize if I screwed up. But what I'll be able to do is take this merge request and I'll check it out using the GitHub command line. And I'll try to push to it so I can add the workflow. So we'll see if that works out. But first, back on task. Let's check out the actions, or the checks rather. So build 7.3 with 9.0. I thought, oh, well. I thought core wasn't allowing any deprecated code to be called. Well, we want I mean, we know it's working. So I guess the main test was to verify that nothing broke. So let's actually fix this. And so if I were to copy this line of code, so this just makes sure that the exit code is not a failure. Because or a fatal error rather. When it's a fatal error, it's exit code 255. And we don't care if it returns deprecations or not. We just want to make sure it didn't error. I just want exit code 255. I actually have no idea if any of these have legitimate meanings. There was an error. Great. Okay, so we'll stick with that. We don't care if there's deprecations or not returned. We just want to make sure that it doesn't throw an error when analyzing. And I fixed the name of it too. It had the same name. So we will admit that. Only check if there are errors. The cool news is that it's working. We already found deprecations in Drupal core itself. When running this, it might have been, what version did it install? 9.1. Maybe it's fixed in 9.2. So we can see here that when it says locking, so it pulled in the local path. And if we scroll down even more, installing, it did a symlink from the working directory into Drupal itself. And that's why we did these set up Drupal. Oh, wait, where is it in here? Sorry. Up in here, when we modify the config repositories, that's what allows us to install our repo into the end site. I brought up before that I want to make this a GitHub action, and more, now that I have to maintain it in 2 areas, I feel like I should do that. Because I'm sure somebody else would find this useful as well for their private modules. One that could even automate this adding PHP spec, prophecy PHP unit. So I will put that on my to-do list to make that GitHub act. Let's see, we want to go back to the pull request. Oh, hey, did everything just get fixed? See. 1 second. I think I have an important email. No, okay. So Circle CI is failing, but I think that's what the far Circle CI I'm gonna let be broken for right now. Because it's just all broken. The good news is that the local requires working. I think it's just because Circle CI still tests with the far, and that got deprecated and removed. Again, I have no idea. Let's ask. Should I remove the far option from the far installation? How do you install drupal-check onto your projects? Let's make it a poll. Composer require M11. Local dependency, global dependency, far. All right. Get the little hashtag going on, or no. There. Local dependency. Stop. Okay. Local dependency, global dependency, far. Use it directly. I put it in the chat as well for those to quick copy. So that would be very helpful. Just know. All right. So we'll close that. This is still running, and Circle CI is still broken. I'm curious what's going on with AppVeyor real quick. It's queued. I'm not going to wait for it because who knows how long it will take. But GitHub's passing, so I'm going to merge this. We're going to confirm the merge, which, yay. So now if I go back to code, I should see it says build failing, but that's because it was on the main branch. Okay, so that's triaged a bit. Let's look at what was the next step. Oh yeah, upgrading PHP stand Drupal, so that way we can test PHP 8. So if we look at the diff, we'll see that violinist ran composer update of a specific branch here, or specific dependency rather. And that's the only thing modified here, except, well, some of the other dependencies it requires, like netutils. So what we're going to do is we've got pull request 214. I'm going to copy that and here. Oh, it rolled me back to my workspace. Let's do update project. Committed. So now what we'll try to do is using the GitHub CLI. So there's GitHub, and we can do, there's the following commands. Oh, new mouse and the scrolling just is not good on a terminal. So you can do checkout to checkout one, view the checks, close it, comment, create all kinds of awesome things. Oh, add a review. That's new. I didn't know that. But what we'll do is we're going to do GitHub PR checkout, and we're going to check that one out. And let's do a rebase off of master. But there's conflicts in the .lock file. So let's try to resolve them easily. I'll add a rebase from master, from violinist. Oh, who knows? Let's find the next change. All right, never mind. I'm not going to. Let's try this. It's going to be just as bad, I bet. We'll just skip that because I'm going to assume that this, okay, that's got a conflict. I'm going to close it. Oh, shoot. I bet that's going to do the same thing to all of these. Yep. Let's close it. Close it. Because I just broke all of those. Yep. Resolve it. Oh, sorry. We don't want to resolve the fix. We just want to close the pull request. And close the pull request. Okay. So we'll just create a new branch. We're going to call it new branch. We'll say PHP 8 support. Create. We will uncomment that, remove that snippet, and I'm just going to run composer update. And we'll do git commit AV, update PHP stand Drupal for PHP 8 support. Save it. Oh, push you origin PHP 8 support. We'll push it, track upstream. So I could click that, but again, we'll just do GitHub PR create. I'm going to skip the body. I'll hit submit. I actually have no idea what happens if you click add metadata. I'm usually just quick clicking through. All right. So we'll review. So that changed. We'll check the diff here. One thing that you should always do, I know it's a hassle because it says, what does it say when you first load it? Some generated files are not rendered by default. You should always review these. It can be a mess, but you don't know what could be in there. There's a few blog posts about how, this is like an attack vector. You create a drive-by pull request that updates a dependency. And, usually maintainers are so busy that they don't review these, but it modified this URL to be a malicious URL. You wouldn't really notice it. You're like, okay, really when you look at these, it's the hash reference that should change. But somebody could go in here and modify this URL. And then your users download a malicious file instead of the actual one. Because as far as I know, there isn't something in Composer which says like only trust these domains. That would be really interesting to have like a security package which did that, which said you could only download distribution files from a allowed list of domains like api.github.com, drupal.org, and anything outside, or GitLab, wherever, and anything outside of that would fail, which would prevent those kinds of attacks. All right, PHP 8 and Drupal 9. No errors. Again, here, no errors and just deprecations. Awesome. That was nice and easy. Again, Circle CI is just broken, so I'm going to merge this. Delete the branch. Let's see. Support PHP 8. Let's see. We will 216. This was fixed in 216. Close with comment. All right. I think it's time to just, I'll cut a release before this is over. I don't need to do it right now. Let's see what else we can get in. I haven't checked a lot of this in a while. So fixes PHP process ID in a temporary. Oh, that's interesting. So if there's two instances running, I wonder how. I want to look at the files it's changing again real quick. I broke it by going back and forth. So it's in check command. So one thing I do too when working with PHP Storm, if you double tap shift, it loads this, I don't know what you want to call it, Finder. And if you paste a file name, it loads it and then you can go to it. In VS Code, I'm sure it's pretty much the same as doing Shift Command P and typing in the file name, and it gives you a shortcut to launch to it. So we don't specify the temporary directory. This is line 141. So we're not passing this. It should also affect. I'll see how they take care of it. How they generate the. Should fix this upstream. So this patched. Fix the unlink. However, the cache folder is never deleted as it contains lots of files. Let's look at the PHP stand. So the development repo is actually -source. The main repo here of PHP stand is the I'll call it like the artifact repo. Like this is where the FAR is pushed and downloaded from, but it's compiled from this repository. There's a lot of reasons for it. Can read about it. I believe there's a blog post on PHP Stand that explains it, but it has to do with namespacing all the dependencies. So what I'm going to do is to search for temp directory, helpers, expand, command helper. So let's look at temp dir. So if is set, it equals, but that's just right there. Oh. So it doesn't. So it doesn't handle it there either. Let's just link that and we'll copy and paste it. You could make the fix real curious. Cannot create. Okay, so that's the closure that runs it to make sure it could. We should make the fix in PHP Stand, I feel. Otherwise, we're adding a bit more hack work into drupal-check. I don't want to say that. That sounds rude. We should make sure to create a follow-up there. All right. So I'll make that comment and let's go. So you can't create issues on this project. You create them against PHP Stand and then you make pull requests to there. So let's create a new issue, which 207. Jenkins. So bug report, allow temp directory not unique enough when running multiple concurrent PHP Stand instances. There, I think that is a good name for it. So bug report. I received the following report on the drupal-check repo. Looks like they had multiple Jenkins jobs running, which shared the same temp directory. This caused problems as PHP Stand uses the same temporary directory. Oh, but maybe this isn't a problem. Let's see. Warning, unlink. Yeah, no, I'm not going to open that issue. So the problem here, once again, I am the problem. So we're trying to unlink the configuration because drupal-check creates a one-off configuration when it runs, and that is what is broken. So sorry, I'm wrong. I realize this is about the custom configuration generated when running drupal-check and its cleanup, not the caches and such made by PHP Stand. So I was wrong, misunderstood it. So right here, file name, I feel like configuration. This isn't the right fix. I don't think we should make the cat. I don't think we should modify this here. So I don't know if we should be modifying the temperature where PHP stand puts its caches. If this is having issues in Jenkins on a shared environment, is there a way to customize the system temp directory PHP polls? That just seems like a problem in general if your test environments are sharing temporary directories. Let's see. Temp file name. Let's see if there's a way. You can also set the INI settings, so this will return a useful value. Let's see. So yeah, I feel like PHP modify set temporary directory value. Let's see, upload system. Okay. Let's copy that. See, so it's reusing the configuration. I'm going to say I want changes. I don't know if this is something we should be adding, as I'm afraid of consequences. Also, this hasn't seen. Also, PHP stand doesn't do this when generating its cache, its temp directory. If the problem is Jenkins sharing temp directories, each job is not isolated enough, I would override the PHP INI value that sets the system temp directory. And let's see, let's search php.net. No, I don't want to search the function list. I want to search the INI value. PHP INI values. Here we go. Droop. Of course, it doesn't have its own entry, and hopefully we can link to it. There is no direct link to there. So I'll just say see there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe what we could do is command line usage, level, configuration, generate baseline. Memory limit, xdebug, debug, quiet version. Clearing the result cache. Maybe we could add an option for specifying temp directory. Otherwise, I highly recommend just adding them with to your project and customizing the config directly there. So remember, just because I maintain code or just because you maintain code does not mean that you need to take somebody's fixes. You can, push back and ask for explanation or say, I don't think this makes sense. So we'll close that. Internal errored value, errors when I run drupal-check. Oh, wait, I wanted to go through all my pull requests first. Sorry. Close tabs to the right. So can I label this as oh. Resolve the conflict. Patch 1. So yeah, I think that's it. Commit to merge. It's awesome that the package maintainer actually sent that over. And real quick, let's see if the GitHub builds pass. While that's running, check the next pull request, test lightning. I'm just going to close this. This has been sitting for ever. Closing due to stale. There's another one. Just going to close this. Who's this ghost? Oh, okay. Takes place of user accounts that may have been deleted. Nope, this is all breaking. Log file's not up to date. That's wonderful. So now I'll get to show off this part. So if I do GitHub PR checkout 203, your branch is ahead by, so let's do composer update. Let's do git push. Oh wait, git status, git commit, regenerate lock. So if we do git push, that wants to push to mparsley. Shoot. We want this to track nope. Let's see if I can fix this up. Let's delete the branch. Let's check it out. Okay, so I had pulled down somebody else's patch 1, so it was tracking that remote versus the actual reference that I wanted it to. So I'm just gonna redo my commit there, regenerate block. Now if I do git push, it's going to track, and it pushed to their remote. So it sets it up to track when you do GitHub PR checkout. It sets the reference from the pull request, and when you push, it automatically tracks to their remote. So let's see if we can see what that looks like. So if I do refs, remotes, no, what did it track to? It was, sorry, refs, pull. Okay, so if we do refs, we look at pull, no, no, there's somewhere I know you can like, oh, info, sorry. So in config, so that's it. I believe it's when you add it and it gets added into the config, where so branch 1, and it says it's a merge at this reference. So instead of having to go in here and manually edit that, you're able to just use that command and it hooks for you. So now if I refresh, oh, I didn't need to refresh. There's my commit, regenerate the lock file, which everything's passing but Circle CI. So I'm just going to merge it. And now I'm done to one pull requests. I realized I commented all of this here. I'm going to update the issue, copying over feedback from the PR. PHP stand generates the temp directory. We could silently at unlink. So when you do the at symbol in front of any PHP function, that silences any warnings. But this seems like you need to configure the, let's copy that value again. And I value for each job to be more isolated. All right, so we got that. Now I'm going to go into the issues and see what else we can fix before I release. So that's been triaged. Invalid value, internal error. Composer require, PHP stand, composer require that. So when using drupal-check, you do not install PHP stand. This wraps around it. Checking config updates. Let's see. There's the debug output. I'll just skip that part of it. So it looks like there's an issue with config update UI and the drush file. Let's try to look at that config update. 8.x. Let's look at config update.ui. Internal error invalid value. Well, the best way to tackle this is to add a test and a job workflow for it, which is what Circle CI was mostly used for, is a bunch of these one-off checks. So let's see if we can replicate this. So let's check out the main branch. Do a git pull. So do get new branch. I like to copy the issue number. So we got GitHub that check config update test. So we're going to test against config update. I don't really want to add it into here, but I feel like I have to. That's where I really liked having all of this, because it made it a lot easier to run against specific contrib. But I don't want to fix Circle. I guess I might have to fix Circle CI right now. When was this created? February. Choice paralysis. It's real. So I guess let's just make another job. I'm going to make another job, and I'm going to have to basically copy and paste this entire thing. So I'm going to copy that and paste it. We're going to rename it to contrib integrations. We'll just call it contrib. Don't need to be fancy with the naming. So we'll call it contrib. And with this, I feel like I'm going to try to be more explicit about the build matrix. So in this PHP version 7.3, so we're going to say it's 7.3, 8.9, and we'll say module or project. We'll call it project, so that way it can be easily used for theme or whatever else. Config update. So contrib, we want to say the name of it, and we'll just drop contrib. We'll just say project with Drupal. So we're going to, we don't need to do PHP CS. We also don't need to install dependencies here or validate. Because when we do this composer require, it will install all the dependencies we need. But what we do need to do now is install that module, which I have that code already in PHP stand. So let's see, copy this right here. So check. I think you can use placements in here. So check project, composer require, Drupal. That's going to be matrix dot project. So I need to fix that here too. Matrix dot project. So by the matrix dot is saying the context from here, which is the strategy matrix, which I did it wrong up here as well. There's various different contexts in GitHub Actions. There's the matrix, there's GitHub, there's all different kinds that are very well documented. So I guess the only problem here, so what I did is I just said the project, and I was hoping that would just be enough. We need to specify the type, because otherwise it's not going to discover it correctly. So I need to add another thing called type, and we'll call it module. And we'll put matrix.type there. I feel like we need to just, I feel like I want to add something else too to this, but we'll just start here. Yeah, we'll just start with that. I want to test if it works with a theme, but let's just go small to start. So what this does again is I basically copied the entire bit, but I made the matrix be explicit, where I'm going to define the different scenarios that must run. It sets up PHP, creates the Drupal project still, installs the dev dependency as needed. But what it will do is it will install the specific contrib project and go and run those. One thing I wonder is so one thing I'm wondering if it should do is this can't test conflicts. Like I know, for example, here we had to require token and Blazy to test a failure. And this doesn't support that at the moment. So maybe we can do, that's what I should try to recreate. I should try to recreate the Blazy and token issue. We'll call it additional projects. And it'll be empty here. But I'm going to make another one immediately called we'll prefix it. We'll say Drupal config update project Drupal Blazy, right? That's it. And Drupal token. And we will matrix dot additional projects. So this way we could support one where if we needed to get like 3 different contrib, I'm just going to add it here and we'll see what happens. Add test for config update. Adds testing pipeline for contrib to check on 204. So let's push that. Let's create the pull requests. So if I edit the body, it pulled in my commit message and defaulted to that. Hit submit. I've got a new pull request open, and I shouldn't even need to click on it because it would pop up here. Okay, so we have now a test for config update and Blazy. So we'll see for when these get kicked off. It will. Okay, great. This will be perfect if this works. Because this is always the one problem. We have so many one-off errors with different contrib that's impossible to test. So I'm hoping that this will nail. Oh, shoot. Oh, darn it. Cancel the workflow. Part of me wonders if I should move it into a different workflow called contrib instead of a job, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on properly organizing these things. So my problem here was that, oh shoot, I can't. Here, I made the mistake of prefix here. This feels weird because project has the regular name, but that's how we know how to find it. But this is okay. Doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to work. Fix requiring of module. So the problem I just now is I try to have it where the project value could be the package name. So Drupal/Blazy. But down here I had left Drupal/ the matrix project. So we ended up with Drupal/config update, which doesn't exist. The problem here is that matrix.project, it would try to search for web module/contrib/Drupal/Blazy, and that doesn't exist. So we'll just have to keep it like that. Let's look at the new checks. Oh, check config update. Wait. Vendor, darn it. Again, I copied. Copy and paste is bad because, again, I just wasted a job run because I had vendor bin PHP stand instead of vendor bin drupal-check. So, but luckily everything went pretty fast. How long did that take? Only a minute. That's crazy. Composer 2 is so much faster. Fix binary path from PHP stand to drupal-check. Let's push that. I mean, the good news is that this all at least installed. I want to check here. So check Blazy, using version, using that. So with how it's set up, I was able to install Blazy, CTools, and Token, which is good. That means we can create some really robust testing flows if needed. Like if there's, who knows what, that some kind of combination causes a problem, or if we want to test. One thing that would be great to test is deprecation flows between the Search API and Facets module, which I think Facets might have Search API as a dependency, so it would automatically get included. Let's see. Just curious on a side quest. Required dev. Oh, so it has it as a dev. But what about in... Okay, so it should be, it still would be required. Let's go back to the pull request. Oh, did it pass for this? Let's check config update. Oh, it didn't install. Oh, shoot. I forgot to install drupal-check into here. Kind of worries me that this is not erroring out, but it's not a unexpected error. I don't know what would be. Let's see. Vendor, bin, foobar, echo. What is it? Nope. Okay. 127. Let's see. Bash or. I don't know how to do an or in bash. Literally the same thing. Okay. What was that error that came back? 127. So I'm going to copy this. And Came back as 1. Great. So we got an exit code 1 if we got 255 or 127 as a response. I should probably copy that into several other areas. So I did not install PHP or drupal-check yet into here. So forgot this step of require drupal-check after we install the Prophecy PHP unit. So let's do a paste there. Forgot to install drupal-check. All right, so that's been pushed. Let's go back to, when viewing an action in this run, I wish there was a, oh, there it is. That's the easy way to get back to the pull request. So it's running here. Let's go to the config update. Setting up. Composer autoloader not found. What? Okay, hold on. Let's see. So this was added, right? We're looking, it's symlinked it. Run cd/Drupal. Composer require config update. Right in the lock file. Composer autoload file not found. You need to run composer install. Oh, because it got symbolically linked. So that error is coming from in here. So when running, if file exists, so it checks if it's installed there. Hey, thanks for joining in. So this is failing to load the autoloader, which it's trying to load from the parent directory of the project. But that's working in, or was working here when, so setup job, one second, I'm gonna try create project, require contrib, global require. Is there a local require? Add as local dependency. Vendor bin. I'm going to just add that check. So in here, we require it as a local dependency. Here it worked. I'm so confused. The only difference is in here, I'm running composer install and it's using its local vendor, which I realize is a bug in this test. I'm gonna make a note of to do this actually has test. I'm gonna call it pollution. Yeah, I'm working on drupal-check, trying to get it cleaned up because PHP stand is now ready, but drupal-check didn't receive any of those updates. So far we've landed PHP, the upgrade for PHP 8 support, but I'm trying to just nail out a few more before I wrap up in about like 30 minutes and tag a release. Because the vendor directory exists. So I'm gonna make a note of that and just battle that when I need to. Require drupal-check. We'll call this name verify drupal-check version, and we'll do a run Okay, so this will fail if we get that auto load error. Um, we gotta get crafty here. Let's see. Time to do what is always the best thing to do is borrow from others that probably had the same problem. Now, vector runs in a far, so I will see what's going on here. So nothing's really changed with it except for the fact that I don't know if it should exist or not. I know some people use it because they don't configure PHP stand, but it's a lot easier to configure PHP stand now. Um, so I don't know what to do with it, but I know people use it, and I know I need to fix it. So I put up a poll. I'm going to see if people responded to it at all. I did put up a poll. I linked to it in the chat to see how people are adding it. Looks like local dependency might be the best way to go, and nobody's using the far anymore. So it's one of, if you can share this, it will help me decide on how to maintain this thing. Oh, what is this? That's not what I want. So bin rector includes director. Autoload includer. This is gonna get fun. Oh, here it is. So load if not already loaded yet. Load if exists. As a vendor dependency, I have the path wrong. No, I don't, because this is in the bin directory. And well, let's just add a test. Echo current working directory is all right. Down the rabbit hole we go. So that had an error for some reason. Technically, when we run the version check, that should throw an error. Debug why autoloader is not found. Okay, let's push and check. I'm gonna go back to the pull request. And we want to keep an eye on config update. What I should do, I'm going to open an issue for myself inside of PHP stand Drupal to, let's see, copy contrib project test job created for drupal-check. Pull request 217 CPR. Oh, let's see. You got to copy the full name there. Great. So that way I need test coverage. There's too many ways that this can break and go wrong that we need test coverage. Okay, Blazy failed, verify drupal-check version. Oh, dang it. I keep making little mistakes. So I need to move into the Drupal directory for this to work. Must move into Drupal into directory for command to work. Add that. Push. Like, I feel like half of this development time is just things like this, like having to get flows right, test all the different edge cases, which takes time. Luckily, with Composer 2, this is way faster. Like before, this was like pulling teeth having to wait, especially when building a composer, like a Drupal project. Um, the fact that this is running in like 15 seconds like blows my mind. It took a long time before. Okay. I really hope this nails it. Oh, interesting. Okay. So verify drupal-check version. Autoload is not found. Current working directory is home runner Drupal. This even says though, like if file exists, vendor autoload. Require it. And that should be right there. Oh. Um. Oh, shoot. Well, that's silly. Did I not? Did I miss something here? I gotta hold on. Workflows, PHP. So we're inside the Drupal directory where we've been running Composer Require, and we're running vendor bin drupal-check version. And the Composer autoload cannot be found in that directory. That doesn't make sense. For kicks, I'm going to list the files there. And you know what? I wonder if. So last time I tried this, we'll see if it works. Act is a online tool for running your GitHub actions locally. Let's see if I can actually get to the. So it's Nectos Act. You install it with Homebrew to your local machine, or there's various. So Homebrew, which I think is even like the Linux Homebrew as well. So I'll copy this into here. Yeah, vendor is inside the Drupal directory because up here, I'll scroll up a bit. So to go back to the question in the chat, so I run create project inside the Drupal directory in the home directory. I CD into it. I require core dev. It works. Like it's installing things in there, but for some reason, when doing the file exist, it's breaking, and I haven't the slightest idea why. So instead of doing all these pushes, I want to try running it locally, and let's just run list. So when you do act and list, it tells you the different stages that can run. When you're using the setup PHP action, you need the author's Docker image as well, and that's documented on the repo, or on their repo rather. But for this, let's do jobs. We're gonna run the contrib, and hopefully this works. When you have a build matrix, it runs all of the items. You can't limit what runs. So it's a bit slower than pushing it, but I really hate always having to make one-off commit messages for this stuff. So hopefully I can just quick see what's going on here. The reason why it's working in the other test is I've run composer install, so it's actually picking up its own local vendor directory. So, oh shoot, you know what? That's the wrong thing too. I don't want the current working directory because the working directory where it was invoked, I want the current directory. So I'm just going to push this anyways. Need to use. Let's just push it. We'll see. I bet GitHub Actions will run faster than this. Probably because I am on Docker for Mac. If you're on Linux, this probably is great. Like you can just run things. I use the Circle CI local runner all the time. Same for the GitLab runner. It's nice. Like it doesn't replace leveraging the real thing, but it makes it so much easier when you're testing little problems like this. All right, so I'm going to open that. Let's see how far we go. So if you notice how there's the gold sidebar and then there's the blue, that's because it has two jobs running at the same time and it is printing the output. Git was not found in your path. Yep. So like that's one problem with the Docker image is it's not fully set up, and I'm pretty sure now I can do it. Now I'm on a 1 terabyte machine. Before I was on a 256 gigabyte one, and the Docker image was like 20 gigs. I'm like, I don't have room for that. But now I'm just like, well, disk space. I have tons of it. All right. So ls Drupal, or sorry, ls vendor. We have vendor autoload. And yeah, the GitHub Actions image is massive. There's stuff in it. So the current working directory, oh, because it's symbolically linked. That's why, because it's not an actual package. So that's why. Let's see here. Way to go, me. I didn't think about that. So we're going to go back to the composer docs and not getting started. We want to go to documentation. So one thing we need to do is when you set up a repository, it lets you can say path and you can specify if it should symlink or not. So let's look first at the schema for repository. So options. Let's see. So composer, the following types are supported. VCS package. There's path. Like I know path works because it's here. Unless that's legacy from V1. So hold on. So if, let's look here. Path. Okay. So in addition to the artifact, you can use the path one. For instance, you add that. If it's a local VCS. Okay. Instead of the default strategy, you can force symlink with, the local package will be symlinked if possible. I don't want it to be symlinked. I want it to be copied. Instead of the default strategy, you can force to use a symlink or mirroring with that. Forcing mirroring can be useful. So I need to find a way to be able to run this config repositories path and provide an option to it. So let's look at the command line documentation for config. Modifying repositories. So you can do that, or you can pass the JSON. Oh, great. That's perfect. So we will have to do that. I'm going to duplicate the line so I have it for record. Let's copy this. We're going to do it in a Scratch file. So it would be path. It's going to be the GitHub workspace. And what we need is we don't want it symlinked. So now let's make this one line again. Paste that in. The only thing I'm curious about is, will it still escape the environment variable there? Because I don't know. I never trust anything. So let's just do, let's export equals foo. So it's foo, and copy this. We're going to echo it. So it didn't escape it, which means I guess that I need to do it this way and then escape all of the internal quotes. So that way it doesn't treat. So in Bash, from what I understand, if it's single quotes, it treats things literally. If it's double quotes, it lets you do variable replacement. So now I get foo as my URL. Let's try that. Do not symlink. Do not symlink drupal-check when installing. Let's push. It's a bummer that this broke. Why did it break? Like, what was it trying to install that required Git? That's a bummer. So while that's running, let's go to, where's the setup PHP? So since I talked about the fact it's documented, let's actually go to the actions repo. So in the setup PHP action repo, if we go down to self-hosted runners, that's not it. It's, I can never find it when, local testing setup. So if you go to the local testing setup, it explains that if you use the act tool, you need to pull in their Docker images, but it still broke. So there's no Docker. Let's see. Let's run set PHP action. Yeah, so this adds Node.js, Docker, PHP, Xdebug, Yarn, but not Git. So I guess maybe I should just actually pull the legitimate GitHub Actions runner one day. Try using that, which I think is documented on here. Oh shoot, we got green. Require Drupal check. So locking at the dev version, downloading where installing mirroring from. I really wish I understood what that meant when it said mirroring. Let's verify. I left that debugger in. Drupal-check is showing the right version. Analyze does not exist. Okay, good. That means I have more copy paste errors. So first, let's remove that debugging line there. Let's remove that debugging line, and check has no arguments. It has options. We allow you to specify if it's going to check for deprecations, analysis, or style, although I don't think anybody uses these two anymore. Originally, when was this made? I think it was made like 2 years ago. I got an email from Dries about PHP Stand, Drupal, and it was like, hey, what if we just made a tool called drupal-check? And it let you just do the things because it was hard to set up. I was like, that's great. But it's basically, people just use it for deprecations. As much as I think everybody should be using this to analyze their code, but not drupal-check, like PHP Stand. Like, get PHP Stand in your projects and start analyzing your code. If anybody's interested in what that looks like, I could do a live stream just on that. But that's for another day. Right now, we're about to clean this up and run the flow, remove that debugging line, fix that, remove non-existent command argument. I don't know how to spell. Oh, I swear, like being in the Midwest and with our vowels, I never know if something's an A or an E. Because apparently we accentuate our vowels a bit, and like I don't know how to spell like excellent sometimes. Like I always put an A instead of an E for a lot of things. And I'll blame it on being in the Midwest because that is what an English teacher told me in high school. So that will be my scapegoat. Now, I want to go back to this real quick to see about running locally. Flags. So known issues, module not found, runners. So, okay, so there are default runners, which I think it uses the virtual environments for running workflows. It must container. So I think it uses the slim version first, and then you can have it use the large version. Let's see. If you need an environment that works just like the GitHub runner, consider using one provided by the above, which I believe is that. So yeah, the 18.04, the image is 18 gigabytes. Yeah. So that's fun. Last did a year ago. Oh, wait, this says, okay, compressed size is 6 gigs. Yeah. So that's a big chunk. As much as I would love to run things locally, I'm okay with pushing a few bits. So let's check here. Config update is green. We like green. Ran. Oh, web contrib or web. It's not module, is it? It's modules, right? All right. It's everything plural. I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna add an S here, so that way in the type we can say that it's a module or a theme, and then it will go into themes or modules. Not great, but I'll deal with it for now. Project type directories are plural. Now, all of this came from just trying to figure out why this threw an error with config update, which I was going to put here. One of the problems may be due to requiring a specific version. I don't even know if that's it. I'm not even going to comment that. So I don't even know. I don't know why it wouldn't work. Half the time, half the bugs that I've experienced, I've had to do like screen shares with people and do live debugging, or I just have to create a test run and cancel. Why was it canceled? Oh. Well, that's the same problem that is crashing um, in Circle CI, which makes me think we have some bigger problems ahead. Here, I'm going to copy this to here, and we're going to address that to do above. Remove vendor directory for integration testing. So this was all working before because I think it was loading its own vendor directory. So we're going to run rm rf vendor. Shoot. Check if everything is broken. So while I push that, I'm going to close this here, and we're going to see. So argument 1 passed to expanded include file must be of type string, bool given. I'm going to assume that means something was false. So expand included file false. Okay, so what neon loader, which we're already doing things that aren't really supported. So we've got here, so in the neon loader, it's loading temp slash that expand included file. So one thing we do when we generate all of this code is right. Oh man, this is such a mess. So one of these real paths is returning a false. Right? So real path, what does it return? Returns false on failure. So one of these are broken. Ah, great. So yeah, if we go into here, analyze, it's broken too. So what we know is that this was working when the local vendor file existed, which is the case right now. It says it's running as a project dependency. That's not right. Like, how could this even be working? Is the bigger question. Shoot. This is one reason I just want this project to kind of go away. So we're in here. We know the FAR is working. We know, right? Could not find, if not exist. So this is okay. But something else is broken. And I'm assuming, let's see. So it's something in these includes. So we'll do for each. Well, let's just do this. So we're going to do a test commit again. So we're going to do if the throw new runtime exception. What is this? Oh, stop. Could not find. So we couldn't find that. And the other part is here. So if not there, throw new runtime, could not find. So one of these is broken. And we'll see why now. Shoot. As a global dependency, well, we'll try here. This is what's broken in the test. Add debugging for expansion failure. Push it. Let's go back to the summary, back to the pull request, and wait for one of these to fail. So I want to give a shout out to Florida Drupal Camp as well. They funded 20 hours of development with some of their, from their coffers, which so far I've done about 4 hours for PHP Stay and Drupal, getting it ready for Drupal 9 and PHP 8. Now I'm using that time to get drupal-check up to date, since so many people use it instead of PHP Stand directly. This is definitely the harder one to get working because it wraps around PHP Stand itself. So, all right. Where did so major thanks to them for stepping up and sponsoring, and of course anybody else who sponsors me on GitHub sponsors. That is greatly appreciated as well, because it lets me sit and figure out why things like this just don't work. So what's interesting here is I copied this, and it's supposed to be if false, throw an exception. But let's look at, okay, I need to look at something here. So we have, it gets to the neon loader, and it passes a file name, but then it gets to expanded included file, and it's false. So maybe I need to look at neon loader, and it's not in here. It's not in there. Fun little fact, if you use PHP, you can expand FAR files. So FARs are just PHP archives. And if you're using VS Code, I know you can't expand it, but PHP Storm lets you get into there. So I want to look at its dependency injection and the neon loader.php. So as you'll see, all of its dependencies have had a prefix added to the namespace. That's part of the way to prevent it from conflicting with your code, because that was in the other part. Like it used PHP parser, and Drush used another dependency that had it, and it blew up because of mismatched versions. So that was always fun to try and figure out. So this is line 26. So parent load file. How? So load is passed this string and null. So we've got load file, and then it calls a parent load. Okay. So we're inside the loader, and we get to expand included file. So includes is expand. So in this expand, so the includes get expanded from the parameters. For each includes as include, this expand included file, which gets us false and something else. So one of the files cannot be found. And we have no idea of knowing which one, right? Because here expects it a string. So didn't mean to close that. So we need to expand. Oh, geez. So something's not configured correctly. Let's move this down. Because, oh, that's not what I wanted. Open an opposite group. Split and move down. So we're dynamically creating a neon file that gets written to disk. But for some reason, it's not working. So includes real path. Why did I have to add real path before? Oh, because it was breaking in Windows. With Windows, we needed to make it real path so that way it would translate to the Windows directory. So that looks right. It should be an array of things. This wasn't false when I passed it in. So if is array, self expand recursive, if instance of statement, parameters of string, for parts, recursive, circular. So if it's a value of that, scalar if PHP, we're not including a PHP file anymore. All right, I don't understand what's breaking. So we'll try another debugging path. So at the bottom here, we unlink the configuration, which is set to the current time. When does this error out? Too quickly. So what I'll do is we're going to do output right line configuration. What's configuration encoded? So I'm just going to have it print out Oh, wait. If I pass it with debug, it already does that. I forgot we added that escape hatch. So that's the next step to do is, yeah, we're going to remove that debugging code. In the workflow, we're going to run it. When does it fail? It fails with anything that runs that. We'll add the debug here, and we're going to add it that and there. Right. So if verbosity is debug, I think we actually want, instead of debug, we want, oh shoot, we want 3 V's. I think I have that in Circle CI. Let's just see. Yep, we want the 3 V's for very, very, very verbose. Add verbosity so we know the generated config. All right. Now we'll go back to the pull request to check this one out. And let's see what we get. Hopefully it works. That was a false flag. Those green tests were some false hope. Second. Jeez. All right. 222. Operator is canceled. This failed first. False. Hey. Okay, so there's the false. So this is what drupal-check does, is it generates the config file for you. I feel like this could just be, maybe that's what the tool does, is it just gets deprecated and generates this tool instead of running PHP stand for you. I don't know. But we know where it's broken. So it's broken when the question though is, I thought I tested all of this. So you know, I'm gonna add, so we're going to say we're going to add some more debugging. We don't need any formatting. Assumed running as far. I'm going to put the code comment above it because that makes more sense. So assumed running as local dependency. Then assumed running as global dependency. Global dependency. Oh. So the deprecation rules, like that's there, that can load. I just don't understand how or why. I just want to make sure. Oh, because I have it as required dev. Oh, shoot. That's why. all right there. Because I can't include deprecation rules if they don't exist. Oh, okay. So that right there is why it was failing. Not because I was missing something, but because I'm assuming like the deprecation rules must at least exist. Like at a minimum, these must exist. Shoot. Let's see something here. If deprecation check, if is analysis check. You son of a gun. Let's update the lock file. It would have changed since I moved that to a required dependency. Maybe I need to say, I want to make sure that this updates properly in the lock file, although the lock file is not needed anymore since I'm not really providing the FAR, but we'll do that. Now this should update and remove. Okay, so it moved it to its proper space. Oh man, I feel really, really silly right now. We assumed an enforced dependency. The thing that I'm not getting is if it was in required dev, I feel like this should never have worked for anybody. It should have always been broken unless people added that as a dependency manually. So yeah, I think this will fix, maybe this will fix the Circle CI test too, because it looked like that was the same bug that was happening. But I'll be very happy if this fixes it. Because then I'll take a release and then I'll hop off the stream. I wanted to call it at 4 o'clock, but which, 30 minutes, 26 minutes ago, but this is just, I couldn't leave this halfway. All right. So thank you everybody that stayed tuned in. I hope this was fun and you learned something neat. Look at that. It worked. And all the tests are green. No more errors. All right. Amazing. Now we're all green. I'm going to review my diff. So that's fixed. Verbose. Added that testing pipeline, moved that in. The diff moves that to be required. And now we're getting that actually debugging as well. All right, let's see. Oh, look it, and it fixed Circle CI. Great. I don't need to turn off Circle CI. That can keep running. Holy cow. Oh. Pending. Let's see what's going on here. Oh. So, yep, this still takes a while because I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, never mind. Circle CI is using Composer 2 as well. So this is testing a bug with Behatton Drush and the Symphony conflict. Oh man, I am happy. I I think all the tests are going to pass. Which there's a lot of them, and I'm just going to merge this. I'm just squash merging it. I'm going to do a squash merge since I just made so many commits that don't need to be in here. Squash it. The bad part. You know what? I need to rename this because through the whole bit, we didn't reproduce this bug. I just fixed completely different issues along the way. Whoa, what'd I do? Let's go back to the, what did I do to GitHub? Why do I have a giant white space? what? What is happening here? I broke GitHub. I don't know. All right, here we go. Let's look at config update. Let's check it. Oh, I did reproduce it. Okay. So reproduced it, but it didn't throw an error. Okay. So let's go back to here. Okay, we're going to call and fix missing dependency. I don't know. I'm going to name things. So the test isn't failing, but it reproduces that fact. Feel like, oh, hey, look at there. So before, oh man, fast follow. Let's see. What I need to do is this fixes a big bug. But it doesn't solve the big problem where need to also check where we grep for internal error invalid value. So I'm going to cancel. I'm going to do a squash merge. I'm going to delete that branch. I added a testing pipeline for this and can reproduce. So real quick, before I tag a release and sign off, I would just want to get that failing branch up, get new branch, GitHub 204 failing config update check. I don't even know how I would check for that exit code and that piece, but I'm just going to add it and we'll see what happens. So we're going to check for that error or the exit code. I think that should work. I'm going to push it up and deal with it another day. So check if we get internal value error. So we're going to push it. Open the pull requests. Create it. Edit the body. Adds test for 204. Right. Yep. We're going to submit it. Just want to copy one more thing from this. I wonder if it's because Drush isn't installed. Nope, it's definitely from more. CLI service, yeah, it's probably something due to Drush. Thanks for the find. I have the test reproducing the issue. I have a feeling it's due to missing Drush 8, and this is code for backwards compatibility. PHP stand doesn't handle that well for optional or conditional dependencies. Okay, that's commented. We've got tests. I'm tagging a release. So I need to get a tool for making release notes. So the new release, draft new release, tag version, .8, updates, PHP stand Drupal to allow to support PHP 8 and Drupal 9. Fixes optional dependency on PHP stand deprecation rules. Now required. Let's see. Yeah, I need to get this figured out because I also give a plug to the sponsors in the release notes. But since I don't really have that all scripted, I'm going to do a good copy and paste. And just want to do git log. Was it head compared to 1.1.7? Let's go back to the main branch for that first, though. Do a pull. Log. Okay. Oh, let's see. Do that. Let's see. PHP stand PHP 8 support. That's it. Okay. Let's preview. Boom. Publish the release. So that should be out in the wild shortly on packages. Thanks for tuning in. This was quite the adventure to get fixed up. I'm going to let's do a little announcement real quick. Got to get the celebration face. Drupal-check 1.1.8 released. You know what I just realized? I don't think any any code that affected people really changed since the .lock file is not included. Oh, well, the composer.json. So we fixed the deprecation rules. Fixes that is really annoying that this is plain. Is there mute? There we go. fixes a few dependency bugs. Yeah, I don't know. That's, and the pipelines are back to green. Test running for Drupal 9 and PHP 8. There, good enough. Oh, I forgot to plug sponsors, but oh well. So that's that. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to sign off and get ready to go through a few emails before dinner. This weekend, I believe I'm doing a live stream for Simply Test Me development on YouTube, because that's where I've been doing a few things. I already have it scheduled there. So yeah, this weekend, on Sunday at 10 a.m. CDT, which is to UTC, which is 3 p.m. UTC, but maybe 4 o'clock once daylight savings kicks in over there. I don't know. This is like the weird week where we're in daylight savings, but Europe isn't yet. But yeah, so this weekend on YouTube, I'm gonna do a live stream for Simply Test, and I'll be back working on drupal-check and PHP stand next week. One thing that I might try to do is help work on Drupal Rector. So I might work on some feature requests for PHP stand Drupal, or try to give a hand on Drupal Rector